We're back. It's the Horns Up Talking Texas podcast. Fisher Tosopoulos, DJ Nikki, Snacks, Credder. We're here for a quick instant reaction post game to Kansas State. We win by the tune of 33-30 in overtime, despite leading the game 27-7 at the end of the third quarter. Not at the very end of the third quarter, because Kansas State scores to make it 27-14, but towards the end of the third quarter, the Texas Longhorns are up by 20, 27-7. Maalik Murphy comes out guns blazing. He is March in this one, in like a lion, out like a lamb, completely sucked balls in the second half of this game. Couldn't hit the red side of a barn. Two of the worst picks I've ever seen in my life, and he threw a bad one last week. Jonathan Brooks, our hopefully, all conference, all nation running back, fumbled the ball, which was very detrimental. And the Kansas State Wildcats, who won the Big 12 championship last year, really capitalized on a lot of our turnovers. And Will Howard, who's a veteran quarterback in college football, didn't make many mistakes in the second half and really threw a really good game. And if it wasn't for Kleinman throwing his nuts in the bump, and trusting his defense and not trusting Maalik Murphy like he had been doing in the second half and going for the field goal, this can be a very different outcome that we're discussing. But our defense gets to stop when they needed to, as been the story the entire season. So here we sit, 8-1, 33-30. The number 7 Texas Longhorns take down the number 23 ranked Kansas State Wildcats. 11 a.m. kickoff Central. It was hot. It was a tough one, but we came out on top. What are your guys' thoughts? Maybe give me a star of the game if you had one, and your biggest takeaway.
Well, I needed a drink at the end of that game. That was too much. We haven't had a anxious moment like that in a long time. And, it's fun that we're playing meaningful games here in November. We got 3 games left on the regular season schedule, and they're all playoff games. So, it's always going to be like this as you get deeper into the season. But it's exciting that Texas has been able to put together wins like this and keep us interested in November. But yeah, that was a little too close for comfort, in my opinion. Blowing the lead like that's not great. There was questions whether Arch was going to come in. I think, the commentator said it best, that this is not the moment that you want Arch stepping onto the field for the very first time in his career. Just not ready for that. Your defense is a top-notch defense, and unfortunately there's a blemish on this record or in the points column at least, because the field position, the block punt, the fumble, the interception, they got easy touchdowns because they were already in good territory. So I wouldn't take the defense's, point column into account here. And they stopped when we needed it most. They got a crucial stop on 3rd and 1, when they were about to kick a field goal, which they ended up missing. They got a crucial stop in overtime, on 4th down, a goal line stop. So for us, I'm really excited that the defense came to play. Next week is going to be a really big question, what we want to do. If Arch or if Quinn's healthy, obviously you got to roll with him, but you really got to look in the mirror and see if you want to roll out Arch next week or if you want to go with Maalik. I mean, thing is, Maalik started off hot. He looked really good with his deep ball at the beginning of the game and looked like he had a great connection with Adonai Mitchell. But something happened, mid-game, and just his confidence got all out of whack. Tosh, you were saying the body language of the team just didn't look great.
Terrible all across the board. And look, Maalik is a freshman, right? I know he's been with this team for 2 years now, but he's a freshman, and I don't necessarily expect him to be a leader already on the football field. But I take real issue with in the 4th quarter, we're driving, we throw a deep out route to Xavier Worthy. It's an incompletion. It's 5 yards short of him. He's made incompletions the entire game. He's been erratic and had errant passes the entire game. Xavier Worthy walks off to the sideline, and his body language,
I noticed that.
It was basically like a physical eye roll is what I'm going to call it. He needs to be a leader on this football team. He's one of the best wide receivers in the country. If I were an NFL scout, I would have clocked that, and I would have said, well, I am damn well more into Adonai Mitchell, who balled out in this game, who was available to his quarterback, made clutch catches, than the guy that walked off on an important 2nd down. And maybe it was, a communication from the sideline that he was getting that he wasn't in that particular personnel package. But even still, I want to see that guy on the sideline coaching up his quarterback that is now being put in this position. get into that guy in the second quarter and the third quarter in a way that's positive, that gives him the motivation to get out there, to be better. If Maalik is by himself and he's our quarterback and he's isolated and he's in his own head, and, there was a bad snap, and what I'm talking about, the body language with him, he handed off to Jonathan Brooks. Jonathan Brooks got 8 yards on the play, but he was basically like slapping his thighs because he was frustrated with the play before the refs had even blown the whistle, before Jonathan Brooks had even been wrapped up. Yeah. And it just was really bad body language. We did our best effort to lose this game. And Nick, you texted us like, this is probably the luckiest we've been in the last 10 years. Normally the luck falls against the Horns, not in favor
reverse
for the Horns.
Nick Rose.
And this time it finally fell for us. And, we're not going to get this lucky twice. So I think this has to be a huge learning curve game for us. And it's just a testament to what complementary football means. Our defense is going to give up passing yards when they've been out on the football field, and they're out on the football field in tough positions. And the Jonathan Brooks fumble, like, that's his first fumble of the year. Like, that was bound to happen at some point.
And
I was about to say, I just don't critique him as much as I do Maalik for those decisions that just can't be made. And I throw it out of bounds on the screen or on the pass out to the left, and you don't force that ball downfield into double coverage, the deep ball to Jonte Cook.
And I want to give Brooks credit on that fumble. Like, it wasn't a careless fumble, in my opinion. He was fighting to get a first down, fighting for extra yards. It was after contact, and that it just got popped out. I mean, obviously no fumble is good, but at the end of the day, like, it's not like a botch, right? A loaf. Like, he was literally second effort trying to get the first down. So I'll give him the credit there. But yeah, I mean, when I say like this is the most luck we've had in 10 years, like, obviously there was bad things that happened throughout the game to us, bad penalties, turnovers. Obviously they come back, they score 3 touchdowns in 4 plays. The luck that I'm referring to is missing the extra point, right? The botched snap, the chip shot that they missed for 3 points. And that's 4 points they left on the board right there. That could have gone their way. And then of course, Kleiman going for it on 4th down and ultimately not getting it in OT. So
I don't mind. I don't mind that call though. Honestly,
I did. Yeah. I thought it was a bad call. I thought it was I agree with the commentators. I think Joe Klatt was saying that it was stupid. I agree with him. I think
their offense had balled the last 2.5 quarters. I don't necessarily.
And their defense had ball too, and Maalik couldn't do anything.
I see both sides because at one side, what's the current trend is that K-State's been dominating, in the second half. Our offense hasn't been able to do much. Maalik has not been efficient. The run game has started to basically diminish. Mm-hmm. But, at the same time, like, you're still going, like, on paper and just throughout the season, like, ultimately you're on the road against the better team. You know what I mean? Like, Texas is the better team and you're on the road, and this might be the only shot you have to knock them off.
And your kicker already missed a chip shot.
You might not get another opportunity to be 1st and goal, 4th and goal. Like this might be your best shot, closest you'll get to the end zone in overtime. So I see both sides. And he's right. And the kicker as well. I mean, the kicker did nail a big one to end regulation, but at the end of the day, like, if he misses one, you can miss another.
Yeah, I get it. And look, the whole crazy thing to me in this one, from a Maalik standpoint, he started off the game, and on that first drive, he airmailed Xavier Worthy and overshot him, and then came back in that next drive and hit 80 Mitchell. And then later he hit 80 Mitchell again. And it looked like he really found his footing. And he started off like 10 of 14, 11 of 14. He was firing on all cylinders. The zip was great. And then out of nowhere, he just completely crumbled. Balls were behind, balls were late, balls were overthrown. 2 terrible picks. Again, like I said at the top, like, the picks are just inexcusable. You can make the excuse in the first one that Jonte Cook was falling down, but he had been down and he was well far from the ball before Maalik released that thing. So there's really no miscommunication. I'm giving him credit for that one.
Second one was awful.
Second one was terrible. And that the errant look, yes, you're a young quarterback, but this is, and a lot of times you could give leeway for errant throws, but this isn't the program and this isn't the time of year where, that's excusable. Every game counts, every moment counts. And, like I said at the top, this is a veteran team for Kansas State. They're going to capitalize on your mistakes. Like, we asked the defense to take away the run. They took away the run. But the pass game came to play when we gave them the opportunities to come and play, and Will Howard came and delivered. and that's the difference between a veteran quarterback in college football and a rookie quarterback in college football, which we have.
Well, there's also, he's not Jalen Milroe, Maalik Murphy. He cannot, if you're going to be a pocket passer, you cannot miss the easy throws. You cannot miss throws within 15 yards of the line of scrimmage. The deep ball, he's got good touch on it. I think he's got a good feel for it. So does Jalen Milroe. But Jalen Milroe can also break contain and run for 5, 10, 20 yards on any given play. Maalik Murphy has not shown that he has any sort of mobility back there. Doesn't want to break the pocket. Doesn't want to take the ball upfield, which, Nick, you had texted us and you were like, I wish we were getting more into a little bit of an RPO here, a little run pass option. Our QB can't run, right? Like he just can't. He doesn't want to do it, and he can't do it.
Sorry, when I mean RPO, I don't mean like having him have the option to run. RPO meaning like the play design is the running back either runs the ball or you throw it, like the Patrick Mahomes Chiefs RPO style, where you're reading.
I get you, but Patrick
Mahomes is still a threat to run.
Dylan Gabriel Murphy's can run, right?
Like,
no, I know, but those plays aren't designed for the quarterback to run. That's what I'm just trying to say. Like, it's literally a run pass option where like you're either handing it off or you're passing it. And because that was work that I saw a couple play actions that worked when it like Adonai Mitchell was on a slant and we did some play action because, man, we rushed the ball for 230 yards this game. Like our ground game was sick. This is one of our best ground games that we've had all season long. And in the fourth quarter, when they're just trying to stop the run and we're still trying to drive downfield, like you're going to get one-on-ones with your wide receivers and you're going to have so much open field because the linebackers are all blitzing and crushing, trying to collapse on the ball. So that's just my only take there. But I mean, he's also a young quarterback at the same time. Like you can't just throw a guy into a completely new system and like, a new style of play this young. So I think next week, maybe, that's something that we can work on. Look, TCU, Josh, you were saying before the game, this could be a trap game. They're sitting here at 4-5 on the season, but we're still going to TCU. And as you mentioned, this is every team's Super Bowl, towards the end of the season. This is just like, this is it. The big target's on the back, and we've got 3 games left in the regular season. And like everyone wants to spoil our season. That's
you're going to Iowa State the week after. And
these last 2 teams have nothing to play for besides spoiling Texas this season.
Yeah. I mean, look, Matt Campbell gives his best to the Texas Longhorns every single damn time. We're TCU's biggest rival, arguably. Like they're going to come in and they're going to try, throw the kitchen sink at us. I do want to give some shout outs to a lot of the guys in the defense. I thought, had really nice games. Baron Sorrell, Sweat. Yeah. I mean, Sweat's our best. Sweat's probably, like, realistically, he's probably our best player on the entire team at this point. He was fantastic. Couple pass deflections, which were massive in this one. Taft, shout out to him. Another pick. It was a really cool pick. I thought Jalen Ford did a nice job.
He did.
I thought he did a nice job.
Big in the second half.
Burke was huge, had 2 big sacks, 1 forced fumble, and he was coming off an injury too.
Yeah, Burke and Sorrell were really, really strong. Who I thought was having a good game, and then he had that bonehead penalty, Ryan Watts. Yeah, he was having a really good game.
That one was kind of ticky-tacky, in my opinion. I feel like he was already kind of trying to keep him.
I just feel like you can't. Your foot's out of bounds. You can't lower the shoulder there.
That, dude.
Don't give the ref an opportunity. If that holding,
they're going to call it.
That holding call stands, right?
Yeah.
We don't have that. It's not offsetting penalties. Then they're 3rd and long. They probably don't convert. It's a completely different game. Like that was a game-changing penalty. And you just can't put the ref in that position because they're going to throw it against us, especially Big 12 refs who we know don't want us to seemingly don't want us to win the game.
They'll do anything they can.
Yeah, there was a pretty bad holding call on DJ Campbell when Jonathan Brooks broke out like a big 8-yard run. And they said it was a holding call, and like it was just like a quick little he like twisted the guy, and the guy like fell to the ground, and it looked like he threw the guy to the ground, but it was so quick. Like that doesn't get called in a normal game, in my opinion. In my opinion, like towards the end of the game, the play call got kind of like weird. The head scratching mentality where when we're just trying to run out the clock, and I said, we just need a first down. They have all 3 of their timeouts, run, but you're 3rd and 3. And the guy that got you the 7 yards is Jonathan Brooks, but you decided to take the ball out of his hands. And I know CJ Baxter had an amazing game, but why are you pitching it to the outside?
That play call.
You guys were even saying like you're trying to get 3 yards, and instead of going 3 yards upfield, you go 6 yards.
Yeah, like
lateral.
our receivers are Adonai Mitchell is a good blocking receiver. So is Jordan Whittington. So is JT, right? But our line is one of our core strong points of our team. Like you were talking about,
Let's get a
like
big body out there.
Banks might be our best player. Like
Yeah.
to be honest,
Run behind one
gamble.
of your best O-linemen.
I mean, they had
and
0
let
sacks.
Jonathan Brooks, who's a big body, like fight for extra yards. And if you don't get it with him, then you don't get it with him.
Yeah. They had 100%. They had 0 sacks, and it's not like our quarterback's a pocket passer. He's not going anywhere.
Right.
So he's literally just sitting there he's a sitting duck for you, and they had 0 sacks. I'm completely with you. Like take Brooks, who we want to keep throwing around. Who's their best player? On offense, he's definitely been our best player all season. And you run him up the gut. You send it north-south. Like you don't go east-west in this thing. Don't go behind the line of scrimmage to a pitch on our freshman running back. It's just like it's Sark's Achilles heel is consistently trying to get too cute with it and trying to outthink and play chess. And sometimes you just got to go and play checkers and keep it casual. And keep it
he's got a little bit of Brandon Staley in him.
A little too much. I do want to give one more shout out to Derek Williams, young safety. I think he plays a really good brand of football. I'm really excited about him. But by and large, like, look, it was really ugly to let them back in the game. But once they got back in the game, a typical Texas team 5 years ago, we would have lost this game.
Crumbled,
would have lost the game. We would have broken the defense. Like right when the defense was about to break, like the levee was about to break. It's 4 down territory in your guys' mind. They're on the goal. Like it's an overtime. All they need to do is score. They threw 7 different kinds of smoke at us, and we stopped them every which way they ran. There was so many, they didn't carry old plays with them. They didn't carry that, big chunk play in the past to start overtime for the Wildcats with them. They didn't carry the missed sacks they had honestly, up until that point. And they had a few. Will Howard had slipped a couple sacks. They didn't carry that with them play to play. It was the mentality on the defense, if we're talking about body language of the offense, I thought the mentality of the defense and the defensive line.
It's a 180.
It's a 180. It's completely different.
You mentioned Barron Sorrell just almost in passing. Like he made a game-saving tackle.
Oh my God, yeah.
To get them to 3rd and short when they were in the red zone, and then we stuff them on 3rd and short, right? Bad play call by them. I'm sure Kansas State fans were like, what are we doing? Why are we we're 3rd and short, and now our quarterback is catching the ball in the gun 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Now he has to get past Sweat and the rest of these Texas Longhorns defensive linemen. We stop them. They miss that field goal, right? That completely changes the game. And even when they're driving at the end of the game to make them hit a 45-yarder, like our defense doing enough there. We saw them completely break right against the Oklahoma Sooners, who scored a touchdown at the end of the game in a similar situation. So a lot of laud and praise to the defense, PK, keeping those guys engaged. They were on the field a lot, but they remained steadfast. And Sorrell, that play was a huge part of the reason why we were able to win. I mentioned almost like, it wasn't a joke, because obviously that's an important phase of the football, special teams. But Sanborn had a punt blocked. He also had a couple of punts that weren't great. Probably his worst showing. That doesn't help. But Burt on the other side was perfect in this game, and we really needed him to be.
Clutch field goals. Making a overtime field goal. That's probably one of the most nerve-wracking things to do in college football, because if you miss it, you pretty much lose yourself the game. Shout out to Burt. I'm curious to see how the committee feels about this game, because as we've seen before, we know that we just got to win games.
Well, how do you feel about it?
Plain and simple. Well, listen, hear me out, because obviously we see what they have to say about strength of schedule, what they have to say about close games and all that stuff. They literally analyze every little thing. So I'm not they can go either way, right? Where they can say Kansas State probably should have won this game. They had one really bad missed field goal. They had a missed extra point. The overtime. They went for on 4th down. Like they easily could have won this game. We threw ourselves out of it. We blew a lead. But on the flip, they could also say, well, Texas didn't have Quinn Ewers. There was just a lot of ticky-tacky things that happened in this game, and quite the reverse as well. We had some bad turnovers. this is not a good showing of Texas. So I'm curious to see what the committee says. Maybe they just chalk it up as a wash.
Okay, so let me ask before you go, T. I just want to ask you, like, try to be as unbiased as possible. How do you see it? Because in the two scenarios you laid out, I when you posed the question, I immediately knew where I lied.
Okay,
based off what I've seen.
My gut reaction is that we just beat a ranked team. We just beat a ranked team with a backup quarterback.
I'm with you. That's my reaction too. Because look, when what is the college football committee's job? Yes, they have to take into account strength of schedule. They have to take into account records. But their ultimate job is to put the best 4 teams in the nation in the college football playoff. That is their ultimate job. So when you look at this Texas team, you could be like, yeah, they're at home and they almost coughed up a bleed and they almost blew it. But on the other hand, this is a ranked team, a team that we ranked. And it's not like we're deep in the season. Like there are a lot of 2-loss teams that are solid. They could have put Rutgers in there, who had a pretty decent showing up until the end against the Ohio State Buckeyes. They could have put
and you're right. You said it perfectly that they ranked, that they
chose to put K-State in there,
that they believe is a top 25 team in the nation.
Yeah, it's not like they're going off somebody. The rankings are out. K-State in their mind is a top 25 team in the nation. The number 23. So Texas, with a backup quarterback, beat them. So what does that show you? And he displayed that he's a backup quarterback. It shows you that Texas they're pretty well coached, good defense, and then at full health, it's probably a very different game. And I think the committee did that with why they ranked us ahead of OU. I think that you could point to it right there. OU beat us on a neutral site. It's not like we went to Norman and we lost. They beat us on a neutral site. But what was the difference? We had injuries. We had our center that was out. We had Ryan Watts that was out. We had guys,
I think the difference was that we beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. I think that's
sure. I mean, that obviously
the bigger difference than us having injuries against Oklahoma.
But they beat us though. They beat us. Like that's just the bottom line to me. And I think that they value teams at full tilt a lot too. They look at this team and they go, what is this team at full tilt? And like if we had lost Watts, we had lost Majors for the entire year, I think we're looked at a bit differently. But they go, okay, these guys are coming back, which they have. Like at full tilt, this Texas team is probably a top 4 team in the nation. And it's not just because of Quinn or Brooks or Xavier Worthy or A.D. Mitchell or Sanders, the guys that we love to talk about, the guys that people love to gush over the offense. It's because of our defense. We legitimately we've been shouting out Ethan Burke for how many weeks in a row? Like every week he has an amazing game. Like he's unbelievable. Like he could be our best defensive player next year. And we have Anthony Hill, right? So Ryan Watts has come back strong. T'Vondre Sweat, we gush over. I think the committee realizes that, and I think they're really going to put emphasis on us not at full health, still getting wins, and having the back of their mind what we can be at full health. We're the third 1-loss team. We're the third 1-loss team. So it's something. And we're the second. We're the second 1-loss team. Yeah. So in my mind, Washington's going to lose today. So we're the second 1-loss team. They could. I hope so. I hope Washington loses. I hope Florida State's tied right now. Oklahoma's losing to OK State, which is a tough game. I hope all these teams around us crumble. Only helps us.
I know that, as we said last show, that Florida State has a cakewalk on their schedule, but they also have a big target on their back. Every single team that they're playing thus forward, it's their Super Bowl, and it's not like they're easy come by wins. I mean, you're playing against Miami, who's one of your biggest rivals, and then Florida, your other biggest rival. You have 2 rivalry games in the last 4 weeks of the season. So, and Pitt's they're not great this season, but they've had some talented teams in the past.
And no one plays spoiler like the Pitt Panthers, let me tell you.
Yeah, just really quickly, Kansas State, the committee had to rank the team somewhere, right? They had to put together a ranking. That's their job. And they did that. And Kansas State was ranked, right? They were the 23rd team based off of the committee's ranking. After watching Kansas State play in that game, I do not believe that they are a top 25 team, despite Will Pollard's incredible play. And I thought he did one thing that was really, really good. Is it Pollard or Howard? Did I just
Howard?
Howard,
yeah.
sorry.
You're already on to Sunday.
Tony.
Will Howard's excellent play, and I thought he did one thing against the Texas Longhorns that other QBs have had a lot of success with, which was he broke contain of the pocket, he broke out, he extended plays, and then that gave time for his wide receivers to get open, right? And our DBs can't cover for forever. No DBs can. But I mean, if we tackle better at the end of the third quarter, and that isn't like a reminiscent touchdown of the Texas Tech game from the 2000s, like in Crabtree's touchdown, like we might stop them in the red zone and hold them to a field goal. It's a totally different game. If Maalik Murphy doesn't make, like, this game, we could have beat them 35-7, like, actually. And I think that's probably what should have happened. And especially I think if we had Quinn Ewers, I think that's more so of what the score would have been. So I feel a little bit worse about both of these teams, to be honest with you, if I'm the committee objectively looking at them.
I don't feel that terrible about Kansas State, honestly. I feel like you're being a little harsh. And then they came all the way back and they put themselves back in this game in a different way than they typically do.
I'm giving my ranking right now, though. This is what
I know. I'm just saying.
My question is, if everything stays the way it is, like the 1 through 7 teams all take care of business this week and they all win games, and let's say Alabama beats LSU,
they jump us.
They're jumping us, right?
100%.
But we beat them.
Yeah, but Oklahoma beat us. It's not just about it's because I think we can honestly assess, and I feel like this is the way that the committee did it. They can honestly assess our team in Oklahoma and say that they believe Texas is a better team, even though Oklahoma won on a neutral site. Like, and I think that if we ran the Texas OU game, the Red River rivalry 10 times, like, we might win 6 miles and they might win 4. Like, that just
might win 9.
We probably wouldn't beat them 9 out of 10 times. But I think we would win them more than 5.
Yeah.
And I think they're taking all of this into account. Look, Ole Miss, like, I don't think Ole Miss can jump us unless they beat Georgia in 2 weeks.
And they played a close game against A&M.
They played a close game against A&M. There's no way Penn State is jumping us. Oklahoma, like you said, Josh, is losing in the Bedlam game right now. I expect that the final result of that game will be crazy, will be a tight game down to the wire. But I do believe that if LSU has if Alabama has a convincing win over LSU, that they'll likely jump us. And I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't think they're going to have a convincing win. I think this is the time to put your money on Mr. Daniels to win the Heisman before it gets too late. Would be my 2 cents to the world. But yeah, there's a lot of football left to be played. And look, I get maybe they're not a top 25 team going forward. They won't be Kansas State, but like, I don't know who else you'd be like going to put in North Carolina. They've had a couple of like weird losses. Like, they lost to Virginia Tech, who's won like 1 game. So, like, to me, like, it's
20-40 anyway, they're all kind of the same team, right? Like,
it's like, who are and you go Oklahoma State, you could probably put in and probably will get in if they take care of business versus Oklahoma. So again, we're 1-0 on the week, we're 8-1 on the season, which is, it really is amazing. I know, like, I know our hopes are so high and our aspirations are so large, but the turnaround from last year, the turnaround from years prior, turnaround from Sark's first year, like, everything is really moving in a nice direction. The fact that we're talking and highlighting defensive linemen, the fact that we're highlighting offensive linemen,
feels good.
It's insanity.
That's SEC stuff.
Exactly. It's like we have got, if we're sitting here debating that our best players on the team are defensive and offensive linemen, it's a completely different football program than the one that we.
Yeah, I mean, you look at like Alabama and LSU and Georgia, and you look at who are the top guys taken in their drafts.
Right.
Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, like big offensive linemen all the time. Like
Andrew Thomas.
Exactly. That's what you want to build when you're building a program and you want to put guys in the league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I definitely want to wishing Quinn a speedy recovery. If Maalik is playing next week, the one other thing I just want to mention, like, I felt like he was telegraphing a lot, like first read. And there was that swatted pass at the line of scrimmage that they almost, if it had gone closer to one of their defenders, probably would have been another interception. So I think it's just another thing of his to address.
There was one thing that I loved. Obviously, the deep ball looked good early on today, but there was one play in particular in the fourth quarter when it was 4th and 4, and we completed it to JT.
Yeah, I couldn't believe he made that throw. Clutch.
It was a great throw, but what he did was he literally he deked the defender by pointing to Brooks, like, go that way. And he pointed that way and threw, like, really quickly. Like, it was just a quick split little, like, pump in his mind. And it honestly worked. It worked a little bit.
Go watch last week's tape of Will Levis throwing 4 touchdown passes. I think on 3 of them, before he went deep, he did a slight shoulder to look at the check down to get the DB to right, and he hit DeAndre Hopkins over the top. Like, it's little things like that. But
it's football IQ.
Yeah, he's a good player, that Levis kid. And I watched shout out Max Loeb, fellow Believe host. He did a really cool breakdown about him. But the thing on Maalik before we rock, it's just like a tale of two tapes every time. It's so black and white. It's either awesome and epic,
definitely
or it's
a
like
Gemini for sure.
It's a completely like boneheaded, like, dude, what are you thinking decision? Like how is that the move? But I will say, like, he does, like we said on Thursday, like, he makes quick decisions. Whether they're good decisions or bad decisions, at least he doesn't hold on. Like yes, the offensive line was fantastic with 0 sacks, but it's also a testament to Maalik Murphy. Like, 0 sacks is a testament to the quarterback too. Like, you're not holding on to the ball too long. You're getting that thing out. Yeah. So we just gotta hopefully turn some of those.
We want the reaction afterwards to be the celebration, arms up in the air, not the why did I make that throw? Why am I scratching my head right now?
Maalik Murphy's actually an Aquarius, so just like me.
There you go. Like that's when my camera went kaput and booted me because I got his sign wrong.
We'll see you guys next time. We'll see you with Quan. Shout out to Quan. I don't know if you guys saw him. Do you guys see him on the sideline at all?
Yeah,
no.
He looked good.
He looked good. He looked good in
not
his
as
jeans.
good as he looked when he was on that horse, but
no, not as good as the horse pick, but solid. Fisher Desopoulos, you can't see him, but you saw him. DJ, Nikki, Snacks, Crowder, get your horns up. We'll see you guys next time. Great win.
Hook 'em.